Hey everyone, so today I wanted to go through creating a plugin for Minecraft and just go through the process that I take to get the plugin coded and sort of my workflow, and also try to briefly go over just, I guess, the basics of plugin development and also setting it up so your source code is on GitHub. So I'm going to start off my other monitor here. I'm going to head over to, I'm going to Google Eclipse. That's the IDE that I use to program in. What I use is the Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. I use that I need that version in particular for how I set it up to work with Git. It might be possible to use other IDEs for it, but I haven't been able to find the right options to get it to work, and you'll see why in a minute. So once you have Eclipse, we're going to go ahead and open it up down here. You're going to have to install the eGit plugin for Eclipse, which can be found here in Eclipse if you go to Help and the Eclipse Marketplace and let it load up, and then do a quick search for eGit. And you would go ahead and, mine says uninstall since I already have it, but you could just go ahead and hit install, and I think it'll do it for you. It'll prompt you to restart, and you should be all set. So, alright, let's go through the process of getting your code synced up with GitHub. So to start out, we're going to want to switch back over here, and let's go to GitHub. I assume you've already got a GitHub account, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Alright, so here's my GitHub homepage. I'm going to go ahead and create a new repository. Repository name, I'll name it something relevant to my project, I guess the plugin name. And I will go ahead and leave it as public. Private if you have a private GitHub account, but I would recommend public anyway to share the source code. And I would, if I were you, I would initialize it with a README, because I think it'll make it a little more easy to make sure things are working if you have the README. And you don't need to worry about the git ignore for now. So we'll go ahead and create this repository. So it's created our repository. It's got our README in it. All it has is the title. And you'll notice that this HTTP link to your Git repository, we're going to want to go ahead and copy that for later. And now we're going to go ahead and pop back into eGit. Or I guess Eclipse, and then use eGit. So now that we're here, we're going to go ahead and do a file import. And once you've installed eGit, there should be a folder here that says Git. We'll go ahead and import projects from Git. Hit next, and we're going to use a URI as a source. And this is where you want to, it's already got it from what I copied, but you're going to want to go ahead and paste that URL from GitHub there, and it should automatically fill out the host and repository path. This should all be default. I believe it defaults to HTTPS. And now for authentication, you're going to enter your GitHub account information. There we go. And it should find the master. Go ahead and click next. This, you might want to choose a particular directory for it to import to. I have been told that it's a bad idea to put the code in the same folder as your Eclipse workspace, so I have elected to put mine in my account name /git /the project name, and that's worked out pretty well for me. All my Git projects end up in this Git directory, and that should be fine. Once you've selected your directory, go ahead and hit next. And then you're going to want to import as a general project, and then hit next and finish. Alright, so now we got this folder with this README. This is why, this now comes into play why I needed that particular version of Eclipse, because what we're going to want to do is right click on this and go to properties, and we're going to want to click on project facets, which I do not believe exists in the other versions of the Eclipse IDE. Either that or I just could not find the correct location to select this option. So anyway, once we're here, we're going to want to convert to a faceted form. And we're going to go ahead and select Java because this is a Java project. Go ahead and hit apply. And OK. Alright, so now this is actually a Java project. And we'll be able to use it for our plugin. Let's go ahead and open this README. And let's go ahead and just add a description in here and make sure that we are correctly linked with this Git repository. So just write a quick description. So there we go. We'll go ahead and save. And right-click your project and go to Team and hit Commit. Here we'll enter a message related to what we've updated in the project. And I think I've already filled this out, but I believe you will have to fill out this author and committer information. I would recommend using whatever is relevant to your GitHub account. The email and username used with that would make the most sense. And then go ahead and make sure that that README file is checked. We don't want to bother with any of these other files. So we're going to go ahead and commit and push. Commit and push is different from commit in that commit simply registers the changes in your local repository. Commit and push registers it and then pushes that data back out to GitHub. So commit and push, pushing, all done. And just to be sure, we can now come back over here and check the README again. And there we go. This plugin allows users to control time. So that's all set. I'll go back here. Alright, so now we're going to want to set up our Eclipse workspace to be able to actually code against the Bukkit API. So we're going to go ahead and go to wiki.bukkit. I think it's org. Yes. Or you could just Google Bukkit Wiki and you'd find this at the top. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll down to downloads, and we're going to get the Bukkit API, and we're just going to grab a copy of the recommended build. I'll keep it. I don't know if I have a copy downloaded already. Doesn't look like I do. Alright, so we got that downloaded. I'm going to go ahead and grab it and move it somewhere else. Just quickly cut that. And it really doesn't matter where it's located. I just like to put all my Java libraries in a particular spot so I know where to find them. So I'm just going to paste mine in here. So it's Bukkit 1.4.7 release candidate 1.0. Alright, so that's all set. Now we'll switch back over here. And alright. So we're going to go ahead and right-click on this project and go to Properties. And now that we've changed it to a Java project, you'll see there's a lot more options. We'll go ahead and switch over to the Java build path, over to the Libraries tab, and add an external jar. We'll locate the jar file that we just downloaded, and go ahead and add that. There we go. And also, alternatively, or I guess in addition, I should say, you can add a reference to the Bukkit Java doc, which I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know. Let's go quickly look it up. Bukkit Java doc. JD.bukkit.org recommended. This looks correct. I think this is the right URL. Let's go ahead and check. Paste it in and validate. Alright, that looks like it's right. I might need to put a comment in the video if that's not correct, but I think that's correct. Hit OK, and now it should bring up some helpful descriptions of all the API functions as we go through our project. Alright, so we're almost ready to code. We're going to want to add one more file before we start getting to the Java code. So go ahead and new file, and that was right-clicking off of the top-level directory, the Chronos project directory. So we're going to make a file called plugin.yml. And I don't want to particularly open it in WordPad, so let's get out of here. And so, yeah, there we go. Nope, that's the wrong one. Open with system editor. No, that's our development system. I don't know if that's what we wanted either. There we go. Text editor, I guess. Huh, the more you know. Alright, so we've opened it with our text editor, and we're going to add I'm going to go ahead and look at one of my other projects so I don't do anything incorrectly here. So I'm just going to copy this over really quick. Alright, so this will be the first category is name, which is the name of our plugin. We'll call it Chronos. This will be explained in a moment, but for now I'm just going to fill it in. And version can be 1 for now. We'll leave it at version 1. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we can get rid of that guy. Alright, so next we're going to want to add a new package. This is going to be our sort of domain name, or our domain. All of our code should be under a similar domain, and it should be unique. If you want more information on that, I believe the wiki has a good explanation of how to select the right domain and why it's relevant. So if you're interested in that, you can go look it up. For me, I'm going to do org.gaming.endain, and then I'm going to go ahead and tack on the name of my plugin. Whoops, too many letters. Alright. I think just ending it at endain would be enough. I just, out of habit, also add the name of the plugin to the end of mine per plugin. I'm not sure if that's poor form, but that's how I tend to do it. Alright, so we can go ahead and hit finish. And also, by default, this is in flat view, I think. I find it much more useful to change the package representation to hierarchical. It's much easier to sort of, you can see it here, you can expand through these different packages much easier. It doesn't take up so much space. Okay, so we've got our package. Let's go ahead and add a new class file, and we'll call it Chronos. And this file, or this class rather, will extend Java plugin. Go ahead and extend SNS. There we go. And I'll go ahead and have it import Java plugin for us from Bukkit. And this will require 2 methods. So first is public void on enable. And the second one is on disable. Did I spell that right? No, I did not. Alright, by default, these are the 2 functions that you need to have in your plugin. It's pretty self-explanatory. On enable will be called whenever the plugin is started up, and on disable will be called whenever it is shut down. Alright, so let's give ourselves a couple variables here. The first one is going to be a private Chronos instance. What this will be used for is just grabbing a single instance of our plugin to reference it in static functions. And this will be used because I'm also, in addition to just a plugin, we're going to be adding an API to this plugin so that other plugins can use the functionality of this plugin, because alone it is not of particular usefulness, but it could be useful to have other plugins that control time based on, say, events. maybe if someone hits a button, they want it to change some function, some functionality of the game. In this case, for our plugin, it would be controlling the speed of time. So we will provide an API for other plugin developers to reference this functionality, since it is not provided in the Bukkit API. So let's go ahead and sort of go through the API parts of this plugin. There's going to be, I believe, five methods, 5 functions that we want to provide for other plugin developers to use. So I'll go ahead and go through these really quick. We'll just copy these over. Fix the tab. One more. Alright, so we have set day, set night, set dawn, set dusk, and set time, I believe. Oh, I got rid of my day. Alright, day can just stay down there. We'll move it up just for organization's sake. Okay, so let's go ahead and just quickly add some comments to these, just so we can keep track of what's used for what. All right. And two more. Okay, so the purpose of this plugin, to I guess explain it further, is to allow other plugins or admins to control the speed of times throughout all of the defined periods of the Minecraft day. So if we switch over to the Minecraft wiki and switch over to time, there are, I believe, 4 distinct periods of the day. Daytime, sunset, and then dusk. Or I guess, alright, we'll go through them. Daytime, sunset, nighttime, sunrise. And I called sunrise dawn and sunset dusk, which is also what they're referred to here. So we want to allow people to control the speed, or I guess the real-time duration of these Minecraft times. In other words, maybe they want to make days progress twice as fast, or maybe they want to make daylight progress half as fast, and nighttime to progress 3 times faster. So that way there's more daylight and less nighttime. And this is going to hopefully allow them to do that. So switching back over, that's what each of these functions are for. It will either allow you to set the speeds of each phase individually, or just set them all to the same multiplier at the same time. So we can see from that we're going to have to remember at a minimum the speed multiplier for each section, each period of time of the day. So let's go ahead and make a couple variables to hold that information. Call it one day. night. We'll call one dawn. And dusk. Alright, so you've got a couple variables. Let's go ahead and start with our onEnable function. So first off, let's initialize all these variables. May as well. We don't want to have them be undefined, so we'll start with day equals 1.0. Night equals 1.0. 1.0. 1.0. All right. So that's good to start off with. Now this tutorial has not been planned out in advance. I'm doing it on the fly. So my idea here is that I am going to use Bukkit's provided scheduler to schedule a task every tick to update the time accordingly. And to do that, I'm going to have to keep my own copy of time, I guess, with more precision than the normal Minecraft clock. So let's go ahead and add another variable, private double time. And we will initialize time to be 0 as well. Alright. So, like I said before, we are going to need to use the Bukkit scheduler to register this task that's going to run once every tick and modify the time accordingly. So, to do that, first I am going to make a Bukkit task. Let's call it, I don't know. Time task. Why not? We'll call it time task. And we'll go ahead and import Bukkit tasks since we will need that. Alright, so let's go ahead and schedule time task. We will get the server, get scheduler, and then we want to call run task timer. And this has 4 parameters. First one is the plugin, next one is the task to be run, next one is the delay before it starts running the task, and then the last one is period, which is how often it should run the task. So the plugin is this plugin. Task we will get to in a minute, so I'll just leave it empty for now. Delay, we want it to start immediately, and period, we want it to run every tick, so period will be 1. And we'll get back to fixing this in a moment. So, in fact, let's do that now. So, the Bukkit scheduler takes a runnable object and executes it whenever we tell it to. So let's go ahead and make a private class time control implements runnable. Alright, so this gives us a runnable object, and we will go ahead and add the unimplemented methods. So what happens is whenever this object is run by the scheduler, it will call this run function, and it will execute whatever code is in the run function. So let's go ahead and let's see. Alright, let us get a local copy of the current time. Let's not call it time. Let's call normal time, I guess, equals this dot get. No, we can't use this, can we? Oh, that's right. This brings me back to this instance that I got up here, this instance of Chronos. Also, that just reminded me these should all be static. All right. So let's take our instance. All right. So now we got get server dot get. Let's see if I can remember where it is. That's right. The time is per world. So for now, let's just restrict this plugin to modifying the time for, let's say, the default world. So we'll just say get worlds dot get 0. So that just gets whatever world is loaded first, essentially. And get time. I think this is the right one. There's another get time, and there are two get times. One of them is safe to modify and will not break redstone, and one is the absolute time of the world and will break redstone if you modify it. Just trying to remember what on earth it was called. Alright, let's just look through here really quick. Look for anything with time. Get full time. I think that is the current absolute time. Yeah, I think that is the one we do not want to use, so we'll find out. We'll use get time for now. And this was a long, actually, so we'll go ahead and switch it. Alright, so that's the normal time that we have. Now that I think about it, I wonder if we even need that time. I don't think we will, now that I think about it. Let's keep it there. Keep it in the back of our minds, and if we need it, we have it. What I think we need to do is go ahead and figure out which... that's why we're going to need it. No. Yes. No, yes, no. I know what I was thinking. Alright. So let's take this part, and we're going to initialize our time to that time. That way when the plugin is enabled, our current time is set to whatever time the world was either generated on or last shut down on. Alright. So we can go ahead and get rid of this. We want to determine now which phase of the day-night cycle that it's in. So there are, if we go over here, let's look at the information on time. There should be something about ticks. Doesn't look like they've calculated it in ticks, but we can figure it out. Minecraft runs by default so that there are 20 ticks per second. So if daytime lasts 10 minutes, then what am I saying? Then it will be 10 times 60 times 20 is the number of ticks in daytime. And likewise for the minute amounts for all these other ones. So I believe time 0 is the start of daytime. I'm not 100% certain on that. We might need to modify the code a little once we test it. But let's work off of that assumption for now. So switching back over to here, let's go ahead and say that if the full day-night cycle is 20 minutes long, then we want to take I'm going to calculate this out in front of me here so you guys can't see it. It's going to be 20 minutes times 60 seconds times 20 ticks, which is 24,000 ticks. So we are going to take our time, our current time, 24,000 time all right, so here's our time with taken modulo 24,000. What this does is, as our time value increases past 24,000, we can still figure out the correct phase of the current day. This essentially will give us time divided by 24,000, and instead of divided, it gives us the remainder after that division. So by taking it modulo 24,000, we essentially can reduce the time by increments of 24,000 until we get one that is less than 24,000, which will allow us to figure out the current day-night phase we are in. All right, so we've got our double temp time. If temp time 0 and temp time less than or equal to, let's see, if daytime is 10 minutes, then that's going to be exactly half that, so 12,000. Then we are in daytime. Else, if temp time is greater than 12,000 and less than, all right, let's see, sunset is 1.5 minutes, so we are going to take 1.5 times 60 times 20, which is 180. Is that right? That seems, that's not right. Hold on, I hit something wrong. 1.5 times 60 times 20. There. 1,800. Yeah, that's right. This would actually be 12,000 plus. Hold on. And temp time is less than or equal to 12,000 plus 1,800, which is 13,800. And we are in sunset, or I guess we'll keep it consistent and say dusk. Else, if temp time is greater than 15,800 and temp time is less than or equal to, right now nighttime is 7 minutes long. So quickly calculate that out. 7 times 60 times 20 is 8,400 plus 1,800 plus 12,000. And that is 22,200. So 22200. Else, well, let's first in nighttime. Else, we are in sunrise. All right, so we've got all of our phases separated out. So now, if we're in daytime, we can go ahead and take our time and increment it by day. Since normally time increases 1 tick per one value per tick, essentially whatever multiplier value we set it would just be 1 times the multiplier value, which is just the multiplier value itself. So for all of these, we'll just take plus equals dusk time plus equals night time plus equals dawn. Alright, so we've successfully updated our internal time counter. Now we're going to want to update the server time. So let us go ahead and say instance dot get server dot get worlds. We'll just grab all of them and do the first one again. Set time, and we will set it to time. And we are going to have to cast this into a long, I believe. And that will strip out the decimal part. And alright, so that is that. So now let's go back to our API functions. For set day, all we want to do is simply take day equals mult. Actually, we are going to have to do instance that day. This is there we go. I had to make Chronos static. All right. Instance dot night equals mult. Instance dot dawn equals mult. And last, actually we got 2 more, don't we? Instance dot dusk equals mult. That's not a semicolon. Alright. And for the last one, we essentially just want to set all of them at the same time to the same value. So just go ahead and grab all of these. Alright, so there we have that. So this is looking pretty good. And what do we got here? Alright, we never did actually set up our scheduler. So we've got this time control class. So let's go ahead and spawn an instance of it. And there we go. Since it is runnable, it will schedule that to run every 1 clock cycle. It's looking pretty good. Now to test this, well, first of all, let's think of onDisable here. Let's go ahead and, for the sake of completeness, say that it's possible that this is disabled without the server shutting down, and just for cleanliness, we'll go ahead and make sure we stop our scheduled task on shutdown. And to do that, we're going to have to make sure that we take our time task, and I've decided I'm going to capitalize it. Changed my mind. So time task, and when you schedule something, it will return a bucket task, which will allow you to control that particular scheduled task through the scheduler. So we'll go ahead and take this dot get server dot get scheduler and cancel task. We will take our time task and get its ID. And now it has been successfully canceled. And that's looking pretty good. So for the sake of testing, let's go ahead and actually include call to our setTime function with a multiplier of, let's do something crazy like, I don't know, 10 times faster. All right. So that's looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and export this to make it usable as a plugin. So, oops, not new. Down to export. And then we're going to expand Java. Oops, that's not Java. And hit jar file. We're going to deselect the class path, project, and the README because we do not need those. You will keep the plugin.yml selected. And let's go ahead and give this a name. We'll call it Chronos API. And this is just exporting to my local test server, so for convenience. We'll go ahead and hit next. These default settings should be correct. Hit next again and make sure that it is generating the manifest file. And go ahead and hit finish. And now it has successfully exported. So I'm going to quickly pull up a folder, head over to my desktop, test server, and let me get rid of these for the moment. Alright, so now all that's running is our Chronos API. And actually, now that I think about it, I do believe this version of Bukkit is 1.4.6. So let us quickly grab 1.4.7 Bukkit and update that. And in the meantime, I will go ahead and start up MultiMC, which is a very helpful program, by the way, if you do not already use it. It allows you to have multiple instances of different versions of Minecraft set up. So we'll go ahead and launch a, well, we'll get to that in a minute. It's pretty much done downloading. So back over here. Oops. Oh, I clicked my folder. Alright, Bukkit. Go ahead and grab that and cut that. Go back over to our local test server. Just shorten the name down a bit. Just call it Bukkit 147 and modify our script. Alright. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start up the server and see how we did. Oh boy, we got errors galore. So let's go ahead and stop this and see where we got. Alright, well this will be a good example of how to debug then. Let's see. Task 2 for Chronos v1 generated an exception, null pointer exception at time control line 80. Alright, so back here, line 80 is here. So it did not like... Oh, silly me. I know what we did. We never actually selected our current instance. Alright. That's not how you spell plugin. Plugin. So we will take instance equals this. There we go. The null pointer exception was because this had not been initialized and thus was set to null, and it was freaking out when it tried to evaluate the statement. So let's go ahead and export this again. And uncheck these, and the rest of it should be the same. Yes, we want to override our old file. Alright, so let's, we can close this one, and we'll start up the server again. Ah, good. No errors. Alright, so back over to MultiMC. Let's launch a copy of 1.4.7. and head into multiplayer. Let's direct connect to localhost. Alright, let's see. It looks like... Well, that looks to be going pretty fast to me. Seems to be working. You know what? Just for grins, let's go ahead and kick it up even higher. Actually, you know what? I'd say that's a pretty successful test. So let's go ahead and add a little more than just API functionality to this plugin. Let's go ahead and make it so that oh, that's cool. Anyway, we'll go ahead and make it so that there is a set of commands that you can use to modify the times as a player as well, and we will restrict it just so that server ops can use these commands. That way players aren't controlling time all they want. We are not going to worry about permissions for the sake of simplicity and just for the length of this tutorial, and also the fact that I haven't worked with permissions in a while and don't honestly remember off the top of my head, and I don't think you guys want to see me struggle through that. So we'll go ahead and disconnect for now, and we can stop the server, and we can leave this up for later. Alright, so we want to add some commands to this plugin for the players to use, or at least the admins to use. So let's go ahead and right here we will add a public, I believe it's Boolean, on command. And I need to quickly, since I don't remember off the top of my head, I'm going to peek into one of my other plugins and figure out what parameters it needs. Now I'll just copy this whole line. Ooh, you know what? Something I forgot is you're actually supposed to have an @override for this on enable and on disable function. I'm actually surprised it worked. I didn't know it would work without it. So let me quickly add those. And back to here, copy that. Oh, hey, it filled it in for me. I'll just fix the formatting. Alright, so this is going to be the function that is called whenever a text command is received by the server from a player. So let's go ahead and return true by default, just say it was successful. And then now we'll actually add our other code to check the command in here. So let's first check, let's see, how do we want to split up these commands? Again, I'm going to peek over into my other things so I don't... So the command got a name. Alright, so that's what we want. Okay, so if command... Actually, let's take our sender. Sender is op. So we are going to only allow ops to use this command. Else sender, we're going to send a message stating you do not have permission to use this command. Alright, so if the sender is an operator. Now, if our command, what was it called? Command dot get name. If our command's name equals, ignoring capitalization or case. Let's call it Chronos. All right. If it's Chronos, then they've successfully called at least the right subset of commands. Now we're going to take the args. The args are split up by, I believe they're split by any sort of white space in between arguments. So typing, say, /Chronos arg1 arg2, it will mean that arg1 and arg2 here get put into this array of string arguments. So we're going to make a couple subcommands on this command. So we're going to say if args, I don't know if they count 0 as Chronos or anything after Chronos. So we'll find out again. We might have to debug this a little. So if args0 equals ignore case day, then we are going to make a call to set day, and we're going to take, well, actually, let's do another check. If args1, which should be the next argument, let's see, double yeah, we'll use exceptions for that. Let's go ahead and do set, get my case right here, set day, oh, I keep messing that up, double, parse double, arg1. There we go. Oops, args1. There we go. Now this, I'm surprised it's not complaining about it. Well, we'll just leave it at that. We'll worry about whether or not the format is correct later. So, all right. So what this does is if the user types /Chronos day, say 3.2, then it will end up calling set day with the value of 3.2. So let's go ahead and add this sort of functionality for the rest of these. Else, if it is night, we'll do set night. Else, if it is dusk, we will do set dusk. Else, if it is dawn, then we will set dawn. Oops. And then finally, if it is none of these, then we will assume that instead of day, night, dusk, or dawn, they are just giving a multiplier to set for all of them. So we will go ahead and say just go ahead and set time, and we will change this to arg0. Okay, and now to make it so these commands are usable, we're going to go back up to in our on enable, and we'll actually go ahead and get rid of this test thing here, and replace it with we'll just say register commands. And briefly, I want to peek again at my other plugin to make sure I git command and set executor. All right. Yeah. All right. So this get command, and our command name is Chronos. We're going to set the executor to this. So now we have registered this command and set the class that will execute the command to our Chronos class, which means it has this on command function and it will call it. And there's one more thing we need in order to get these commands working, which is we need to edit this plugin.yml, and we need to add to it, I believe we need commands, and just because I'm not 100% sure, I'm going to, that's not the right thing, commands and 2, 3, so 3 spaces. I'm just going to copy this as a template. And YML files use only spaces for parsing its hierarchy, so do not use tabs here. Use 3 spaces per level in the hierarchy. So this will be our command name, which is Chronos, and our description of it will be sets the speed of time. Our usage will be Chronos, and then day or night or dusk or dawn, and then it also needs a multiplier. Alright, so that looks pretty good. That should be everything we need to be able to control it. So let's go ahead and again export this to our file. Check our unnecessary stuff. Finish, overwrite, and we're good. We still have our new server. Enabling Chronos v1. Alright, so it should be all set. And again, we'll just do a direct connect. So there we go. It looks to me like time is back to being pretty slow. So let's try Chronos 100. Oh, I'm not opt. Let me go ahead and opt myself. There we go. Let's try that again. Yeehaw! There we go. Wow, look at that go. All right, let's try messing around with this a little more and see if the individual times work. So let's try Chronos dusk, say 4. So now when it's fading out, we should see a slowdown. Yeah, it slows down from 100 to 4. And then once it transfers back into nighttime, oh, hello Enderman, it should then pick up speed again and start flying around. Yep, there it goes. All right, that looks to be working. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to... Oh, actually, you know what? There is one more thing I want to do. I want to go ahead and I'm actually going to stop this server. And I'm going to go back here and right-click, team, commit, initial version of plugin. And we will go ahead and add the source file and the plugin.yml, and go ahead and commit that and push it to the remote repository. Cool, that's all set. Now I'll quickly just switch over here and check that it's correctly on GitHub. Just refresh. There we go. So there's our plugin.yml, our source, inside of all our folders here, and chronos.java. And there we are. It's looking pretty done to me. Cool. All right. I guess one other thing that I did say at the start that I was going to mention that I just realized now that I never mentioned. I never did explain where this came from. This is essentially the package up to here. It's the package that your plugin is in. And then this, the final extension, is the name of the class file that contains your on enable and on disable methods. So it doesn't necessarily have to be named Chronos. It can really be named anything, as long as it's the one where the plugin starts its initialization and where it shuts down from, that has these on enable and on disable functions. Hopefully I haven't missed anything too big, and hopefully someone out there will find it helpful for just starting out and getting going with plugin development. And if you notice any mistakes or have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or contact me at endain.gaming@gmail.com. I think I'm also endain on the Bukkit forums, so I haven't posted in a long time. I will rarely log in. You could also try that way. Or you can drop by my stream at twitch.tv/endain, and I often actually do coding on stream as well, and you can feel free to ask questions there too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.